On behalf of Group 2, Rachel Dzik, Peter Shege, and Ruth Dillon, we would like to present our group project for University of Virginia School of Continuing and Professional Studies, PSPM 5240, summer semester of 2017, group project Procurement Principles and Management, taught by Professor Michael Powers. Our project called Space Scheduling Software Upgrade for Darden School of Business. What the procurement cycle is. The procurement cycle is the cyclical process of key steps when procuring goods or service. Management at any company must understand the art of obtaining products and services. The procurement cycle follows specific steps for identifying a requirement or need of the company through the final step of the award of the product or contract. A proven systematic technique that helps management successfully achieve its goals. This interactive tool is to develop and to guide members through the procurement process with links to relevant knowledge to support every step of the way through procurement journey.
For our group project, our mission is to upgrade the software that is used at the Darden School of Business to schedule classes, study space, meetings, and event spaces in order to simplify the scheduling process, increase the efficient use of spaces within the enterprise, and to create an integrated calendar of events. As project managers, we have to plan and familiarize ourselves with the requirements and the issues before we start the upgrade. We should create the following to-do list. Review the release notes for our upgrade target release. Understand any requirements for upgrading the existing software. Create a backup plan in the unlikely event that we need to revert or downgrade to the software release that was running in our system before the upgrade. Be prepared to note any changes to our system after the upgrade. Ensure that the following configuration of the upgrade method is correct and fully supported. Verify that all components are compatible with the upgrade. Perform any preliminary procedures before the upgrade. Obtain the appropriate software support site. Install the data software image on the storage system. Download the data system files to the boot device. Verify that the upgrade process is completed and operating as expected.
Well over 1,000 students, faculty, and staff are using this software to schedule space for academic classes, meetings, conferences, lectures, guest speakers, etc. There are approximately 75 schedules every day. Policy and intake, which bodies have authority, how spaces are assigned and requested, how spaces can accommodate different types of groups. Ensure minimizing time spent scheduling, improving resource utilization, avoiding costly double booking and schedule conflicts. In addition, it plans workloads, communicate priorities, assign tasks, monitor progress, review performance, and manage communication project. We should do the following. Look for what kind of update it is in terms of some technical upgrade, or environmental related upgrade, or change in the application code. Do a deep technical analysis which will help us identify the impacts more clearly. Besides the dependencies of the changed code which can be understood very well. The clear understanding of interdependencies related to impacted code will help in better execution of regression testing. The regression can be at 3 levels: integration, system, and business level. Business level regression will help to counter the challenges related to impact on the business due to code change or technology change or technical change. We should ensure that the coverage level is also defined in the objective at all the 3 levels.
The software systems utilize the post-secondary education guidelines to help plan and budget for instruction and research (I&R) programs. In addition, the Facilities Inventory Guide (FIG) defines physical space standards on UVA ground, such as room use codes, assignable square feet (ASF) and gross square feet (GSF). It also defines what buildings must be inventoried on. As a group, we have created a document which summarized our most referenced standards. The intent of this document is to clarify and provide definition of types of square feet associated with detailed project programs (DPP) and project planning guides (PPG), including assignable square feet (ASF), non-assignable square feet (NSF), basic gross square feet (BG), covered unenclosed square feet (CU), and outside gross square feet (OGSF). Define the process for assigning room numbers and calculating ASF, NSF, BG, CU, and OGSF. Provide reference information to architects creating construction document.
Software. In today's market, there are many software programs available to assist in the scheduling of space in a variety of organizations and venues. Our organization requires such assistance in order to efficiently manage the broad spectrum of meetings and events held within our facilities. Upgrading the software used to schedule space will allow the end user to access both a view of available space as well as currently scheduled events. This information will allow determination of the best time and location for a meeting and a view of any potential conflicts. The conflicts can be both superficial in nature, such as time and size of space available, but they may also be content conflicts that will cause competition for attendees or resources needed to support the event. The upgrade should also provide us with valuable data that will allow us to maximize the use of our existing space. The useful data obtained by the system will assist facilities and senior leadership in the master planning process. We will form a small project team to include representatives from IT, facilities, career development, academic programs, executive education, and hospitality. The team will research and review the software options and will work together to determine the best option for the organization. Facilities will be responsible for the purchase. IT will install, and with assistance from the project team, will formulate a plan to implement the program in the community and train users. Following implementation, the project team will recap the project to assist with future project planning.
The consortia is a term used to ensure that partners interact efficiently to achieve the project objectives. The consortium coordination, who appointed a consortium coordinator, a consortium project manager, and a consortium project administrator. The other partners each appointed a project manager. 4 project administrators are appointed by the Southern partners to provide secretarial and logistical support for the field work and to perform financial administration. The project managers and administrators formed a project management team, PMT, that acted as the decision-making and monitoring body. Here are a few points that consortia is essential to a project. To ensure the contractual, legal, and ethical management of the consortium by settling the consortium agreement. To make sure that partners agree on common procedures for project management, communication, coordination, decision-making, organization of meetings and workshops, and operational procedures for timely and accurate reporting. To ensure adequate communication among all consortium partners. Collaboration strategy. Project teams are in a constant state of communication by email, video conference, telephone calls, text, face-to-face discussions, and even nonverbal interactions. Whatever media they use, project teams will increase their chances of achieving their goals if they develop successful strategies for keeping everyone informed about what is going on. Here are some tips for communicating effectively during the course of a project. 1. Meet regularly. Hold regular strategy meetings for the entire team. This gives everyone an opportunity to be present while project activities and changes are being discussed. Creating a level playing field by giving all team members a chance to voice ideas, concerns, and share status updates. Reducing wasted time, trying to limit meetings to 50 minutes. That gives everyone a few minutes for administrative work or downtime, or simply a chance to get to the next meeting. Ensuring that meetings stay on schedule and to the following. Assign a timekeeper. Draft an agenda and send it to all the team members prior to the meeting. Ask team members to be prepared to discuss the agenda items. Unless urgent, tabling any non-agenda issues raised with the understanding that they will be up for discussion later. Scheduling the next meeting in advance, and keep a record of the discussion items to be carried forward. 2. Be inclusive. Make sure that PM do not leave anyone out when he or she invites people to the meetings or sends out reports about the recent developments. If PM are not sure whether certain people need to be involved in the meeting or kept in the loop about the latest project activities or updates, err on the side of caution and include them. It is always better for PM to gain more input from more people than limited input from just a few team members who are regarded as key players. At the project kickoff meeting, PMs should ask the team members about their communication preferences. One option is to use project software that includes a portal that can serve as a central hub of communication. Compared with relying on email and an assortment of other communication tools, a central portal decreases the likelihood that people will be excluded from conversations that are important to them. 3. Be transparent, clear, and concise. Communication can be time-consuming in any form. Project managers can avoid wasting time and their own time and other people's time by being transparent, clear, and concise. Prior to picking up the telephone, typing an email, or scheduling a meeting, project managers should take a moment or two to consider the following: the purpose of the communication, the audience, are they team members, executives, vendors, clients, or other stakeholders, the desired outcome, whether he or she would need to refer back to the conversation later or provide details of it to others, whether in the light of factors above, does the project manager use the best medium for the type of communication he or she has in mind. Should the project manager's message come across in ways that are easy to understand and accessible to everyone concerned. 4. Show some respect. People are put on project teams for a reason. Whatever their roles are, all members serve and intended purpose and bring intrinsic value to the project. Regardless of title and position in the organizational hierarchy, a participant should be expected to show respect for their fellow team members and should be held accountable for their behavior. It is natural that the opinions and thoughts of higher level projects participants may be given more weight than those of junior team members. But that's a mistake. Even if they disagree with people who outrank them, all team members should be able to freely communicate their thoughts, opinions, and concerns without fear of ridicule or consequence. Great ideas are great ideas, regardless of who they come from. Similarly, when scheduling project activities, every team member's competing responsibilities and time pressures should be taken into consideration. Teams cannot remain strong if they have weak links in the chain of mutual respect. 5. Recognize that being right may be wrong. On the surface, getting everyone to see that the project manager is right may seem like a big win, but such a victory can have far-reaching consequences if it affects the attitude or morale of the other team members. Project teams are just that, teams, and therefore there is little room for any member, regardless of position, to put a lot of energy into proving that he or she is usually right. Project managers need to be right. A project manager's need to be right can end up alienating others to the extent that they stop communicating altogether. Such a breakdown in communication causes the team to function at a less than optimal level. No project can be successful with a team of one. Egos need to be checked at the door when team members are communicating with one another. 6. Use online collaboration tools. Collaboration tools can help streamline project management and facilitate the process of collaborating with team members and other stakeholders. If project managers are looking for a free and easy way to communicate and collaborate with team members in the same office or across the globe, keeping everyone informed and up to date on a variety of project types, from keeping a sales pipeline moving to organizing volunteer efforts. Of course, collaboration alone will not guarantee the team will communicate openly and efficiently.
Objectives, goals. Software testing has different goals and objectives. The major objectives of software testing are as follows: finding defects, which may be created by the programmer while developing the software; gaining confidence in and providing information about the level of quality. Here is how we prevent defects control on a project lifecycle. 1. To simplify the request and approval process, to reduce the time for both submission and approval, employees should do the following: how the request should be submitted, how far in advance the request should be submitted, establishing policy for the request, reason for the request, first come, first served, seniority based, managerial discretion, one form that everyone should use and easy to submit. 2. Proper data collection and scheduling capability to maximize and increase efficient use of space. Pulling from computers, cell phones, cloud services, or other sources, our team collects and preserves critical digital evidence. Leveraging a global network of TLS for the CEDIC laboratories, we can scale our services for any project, ranging from single computer preservations to large international data collections involving multiple custodians and sources. Our resources accommodate the restrictions imposed by the privacy and state secret regulations of various countries. Evidence analysis and investigation, backup data tape remediation, social media, websites and cloud services, audio, video, and multimedia. 3. Use data from request and approval process to auto-populate an integrated calendar of events. Set it up, try it out, limitations, then see the results.
Project definitions. Successful projects means that the project is completed on time and on budget, with all features and functions as originally specified. Challenged projects mean that the project is completed and operational, but over budget, over the time estimate, with fewer features and functions than initially specified. Failed projects means that the project is canceled before completion. There are many causes of project failure, and every failed project will have its own set of issues. Sometimes it's a single trigger event that leads to failure, but more often than not, it's a complex entwined set of problems that combine and cumulatively result in failure. Overruns and deficiencies. This is a common reason for cost overruns is the inaccuracy of cost estimates when the bids for subcontracts or the actual costs come in, and they are often higher than the anticipated. Such cost overruns are due either to incorrect estimates or to changed conditions in the marketplace. Project managers can review cost estimates before placing orders to identify mistakes or change conditions. An overall review may find that increases in some areas are compensated by decreases in others. Project managers may be able to adjust requirements to reduce costs or seek out lower cost suppliers. It would be safe if business owners or managers of possible higher costs at this stage gives them the option of making changes and maintaining their budgets. Team size affects team success. Many managers and project leaders can attest that team size has a significant impact on whether a team will succeed or fail at achieving a goal. Teams with fewer members are more likely to develop strong cohesive bonds that enable them to work cooperatively together, but smaller teams often lack the available resources to efficiently achieve a goal. Furthermore, the use of smaller teams greatly reduces the likelihood of social loafing or free riding on others' efforts. Larger teams have the benefit of utilizing a diverse range of strengths and skills and can brainstorm more effectively to identify a broader scope of problems and solutions. However, larger teams usually cannot effectively make reasonable decisions because interaction becomes more difficult, and a phenomenon called groupthink, which is the tendency for individual members to suppress dissent in the interests of group harmony, is more prevalent. Ideal team size. Although project managers understand the importance of considering team size, it is extremely difficult to determine the ideal balance. Unfortunately, finding that perfect spot on the team size continuum depends on many factors. A team's ability to be effective and achieve a common goal depends on three things: team size, team proximity, and the types of tasks being performed.
Best recommendations when buying software. Buy a mature application that has been on the market for at least 3 years and adapt it to your purpose, running it on equipment that you already own. Never buy a 1.0 or even 2.0 version if at all possible. The name of the vendor doesn't matter as long as it has been on the market for 3 years and has significant market share. If off-the-shelf applications still won't work, consider outsourcing, especially web-based applications suites. Why? Unless you are operating a software company, software should not be central to the way you view your business. It is just a means to an end, and to be classed as truly successful, the means should be quality, efficient, and as close to invisible as you can get.
Make versus buy cost analysis. A make versus buy cost analysis involves comparing all the costs associated with fulfilling a supply need, making a good or service in-house against the cost of fulfilling a supply need, buying a good or service from an outside supply partner. The common factors that companies consider in a make versus buy decision include proprietary knowledge, capabilities, quality, capacity, labor, volume, timing, and cost. Make versus buy analysis should be carefully analyzed at the strategic and operational level of an organization. At the strategic level, the decision to make or buy a component directly affects organizational profit and the firm's reputation in their industry. In a strategic level analysis, an organization's leadership should weigh different variables pertaining to the company's desired business model, competitive environment, governmental regulations, and make trends. At the operational level, the decision to make or buy a component directly affects operational efficiency, income, and expenses. In an operational level analysis, an organization should weigh out costs, considerations, quality control, lead time, transportation, volume, union contracts, and assurance of supply. A strategic make or buy decision will utilize the variables affected at the strategic level and operational level, which will lead to a long-term, sustainable, competitive advantage. Benefit trade-offs. When a product is critical to a company's performance, the use of an in-house capabilities to make the product is often a desirable choice. Tight control over the manufacturing process of time-sensitive components with frequent design changes are essential to the quality and consistent availability of the product. When a company does not view a product or manufacturing process as a strategic advantage to the business, it is often best to buy the product or manufacturing process from an outside supplier partner. Companies that partner with leading supply partners for non-core goods and services will attain an assortment of advantages such as reducing unit costs, gaining flexibility to changes in demand, eliminating expenses of capital equipment, attaining access to innovative and alternative process technologies, and de-risking themselves from environmental and governmental regulations. Outsourcing clearly brings strategic and operational benefits to non-core business process where the right strategic partner is chosen. We find the most successful high-growth technology companies have developed the ability to strike the optimal balance between vertical and horizontal process integration, which allows them to be world-class in all aspects of their business operations, whether they make or buy their goods or services. Team decision. When management decides a good or service is not crucial to the end product or marketing strategy of the business, and supply partners are willing and able to meet the innovative needs and requirements of the supply need, then outsourcing can be a financially and strategically rewarding decision. During the analysis of external suppliers, outsourcing supply partners, companies must examine several key areas of business to assess the capabilities and risk of the supply partner. These areas can include manufacturing and engineering capabilities, labor costs, producing scaling, capacity utilization, socioeconomic culture, and geopolitical policy. When outsourcing components overseas, It is critical to understand and have risk mitigation contingency plans in place, as the chances for supply disruption from external factors drastically increase. In addition, once a company has decided to outsource a particular good or service, they must measure the total cost of ownership (TCO) over time to track the financial, operational, and intellectual cost of their decision. Too often, companies outsource business processes to only realize the TCO is a lot greater than performing the process in-house, and the intangible advantages do not outweigh the added costs of outsourcing. The decision to outsource business goods or services often has complex implications on the entire organization, and it should not be made by one single team member or function within the same organization. It is imperative that all related functions collaborate to decide on the best strategic and operational choice in the context of the product and business strategy. On a strategic level, outsourcing needs to have the firm's reputation and core focus in mind, where on an operational level, outsourcing needs to be financially suitable and operational effective. Overall, the benefits from vertical integration can always be optimally counterbalanced by the benefits of using outside best-in-class supply partners. When executed correctly, a strategic outsourcing program can bring an array of benefits to an organization's short and long-term sustainability and growth. Advantages of making: low costs, better quality, unique characteristics, better time management, control of proprietary information, meaning high strong control needed make, moderate control needed, partnership. Low, weak control needed, buy. Risks tied to outsourcing: size, power of producer, technical capacity of buyer, number of transactions involved.
Analyzing strategic outsource decisions. Outsource subsystems and components unless they fall into following categories: item that is critical to success of the product, including customer perception of important product attributes, an item that requires specialized design and manufacturing skills or equipment, and the number of capable and reliable supplier is extremely limited. Any item that fits well within the core components or within those the firm must develop to fulfill further plans. Relative costs and volume. Requirement is a consideration despite core competencies. The facilities respective of the project team will act as project manager. The project team will research, review, analyze the maker or buy decision and determine the product we will purchase. The project team, along with IT and or software company, will work together to prepare, install, train, and implement the software in the organization. Option to make or buy is the beginning of product life cycle during new product development. Vertical integration to make or in-source material can affect cost, flexibility, and responsiveness. Lean manufacturing, lean firms increasingly buy more and make less. Mindset is the current trend. Project managers should deal with the following: substances or the products, components and parts that make up the strategic subsystem team. Can the subs-team be broken down into families or components and parts? The quantities are too small and or no supplier is interested or available in providing the goods. Quality requirements may be so exciting or so unusual as to require special proceeding methods that suppliers cannot be expected to provide. There is greater assurance of supply. It is necessary to preserve technological secrets. It helps the organization obtain a lower cost as the purchase option is too expensive. It allows the organization to take advantage of or avoid idle equipment and or labor. It ensures steady running of the corporation's own facility, leaving suppliers to bear the burden of fluctuations in demand. Reason for making instead of buy. It avoids sole source dependency. Competitive, political, social, or environmental reason may force an organization to make even when it might have preferred to buy. The distance from the closest available supplier is too great. The significant customer required it. Further, maker potential for the product or service is expanding rapidly, and forecasts show further future shortages in the market or rising prices. Management takes price and size. Reason for buying outside. The organization may lack managerial or technical expertise in the production of the items or service in question. The organization lacks production capacity. Certain suppliers have built such a reputation for themselves that they have been able to build a real preference for their component as part of the finished product. The challenges of maintaining long-term technological and economical viability for a non-core activity are too great. A decision to make, once made, is often difficult to reserve. It assures cost accuracy. There are more options in potential source and substitute items. So the reason for buying outside, there may not be sufficient volume to justify in-house production. Future forecasts show great demand or technological uncertainty, and the firm is unable or unwilling to undertake the risk of manufacture. A high capable supplier is available nearby. The organization desires to stay lean. Buying outside may open up markets or the firm products or service. It provides the organization with the ability to bring a product or service to make it faster. A significant customer may demand it or encourage superior supply management expertise.
Considerations. Considerations which favor making. Cost considerations, less expensive to make the part. Desire to integrate plant operations. Productive use of excess plant capacity to help absorb fixed overhead. Need to exert direct control over production and or quality. Design secrecy required. Unreliable suppliers. Desire to maintain a stable workforce in periods of declining sales. Considerations which favor buying. Limited production facilities. Cost considerations, less expensive to buy the part. Small volume requirements. Suppliers' research and specialized know-how. Desire to maintain a stable workforce in periods of rising sales. Desire to maintain a multiple source policy. Indirect managerial control considerations. procurement, and inventory considerations.
Outsourcing. When a business chooses to outsource project management functions, the external PM can run into issues with the company's internal staff members and all management consciously or unconsciously being uncooperative or mistrusting. Reasons for outsourcing. Not every organization has all the resources necessary to execute projects at any given time. If project work is not consistent, there may be gaps where people are released or choose to seek other employment. If the organization does not constantly engage in project work and does not have the overhead needed to maintain a bench of resources, then there may be a need to go outside the organization to hire contractors, consultants, or temporary positions to work on projects. In many cases, then, can be a positive experience for all involved, but it must be managed correctly, and there should be solid reasoning for outsourcing and a solid plan for managing those resources. These reasons should be fully understood before an organization can jump into outsourcing project work. One-time expertise. One of the biggest advantages of outsourcing is to bring in someone with the skills and expertise that the organization needs temporarily, whether it is for a multi-year project or a short 2 or 3 month project. The organization may need coding or software skills for that short time, but do not have the need to hire a full-time permanent resource. Hiring someone on a contract basis can be a big help for the project. They should be able to start working immediately without any training or ramp-up time, and they should be an expert in the skills needed for the project. As you work with these types of resources, it is important to consider if those skills could benefit the organization in a long-term manner. It might be the perfect time to consider adding that expertise to the operational organization's team in addition to the project team. The PM can even evaluate a candidate while working with the contractor. Independent evaluation. As the project progresses, PM needs an objective and an independent evaluation of how work is progressing and how well the project is being executed. Using independent contractors or consultants to provide this can help everyone regain their objectivity. When it comes to project work, it is important that PM is able to take a step back and see the whole picture of what is going on within the project and the project team. Outsourcing this work can bring up ideas and viewpoints that the people working on the project day in and day out are missing. Testing the waters. There is nothing better than testing the waters before you jump in the pool. Hiring contractors can be a great way to test the waters before you commit on hiring full-time permanent resources. This can be the case even if you are just exploring what kind of skills and experience you might need in an organization. The person might not work out, but you find out what kind of experience you will look for in future candidates. Moving quicker. Organizations move slowly, and a large organization can make gracious look speedy. When it comes to identifying resources inside an organization and getting them assigned to projects or hiring new employees, projects can die a quick death while you are waiting on the paperwork to be approved. Hiring contractors or outsourcing part of the work can provide a great speed boost if it is handled correctly. You cannot just throw extra bodies at the project. You have to be detailed about the skills needed and provide governance over how the work is played between outside contractors and in-house employees. When this is done correctly, it can help keep things moving along during project execution. The ripple effect. At the end of the day, outsourcing work will have a rippling effect throughout the project and the organization. It is important that the project manager and the leaders of the organization understand what is rippling around them, and work to make sure it is positive for everyone involved. Specification requirements. If anything can be misunderstood, it probably will be. Writers are responsible for readers' wrong renditions. Assume nothing, specify everything. Too much is safer than too little. If they ask a question, document and integrate the answer. Quality control before setting. Evolve requirement delivery. Quantify quality. Constrain explicitly. Connect relationships. Costs to outsource. The estimation of cost is a crucial stage in deciding whether, how, and what to outsource. You must take into consideration every single aspect that might boost your bill. And what's more important, instead of focusing on low cost when choosing an outsourcing partner, you'll gain more by looking at the bigger picture and scrutinizing if the firm has the necessary resources and the ability to deliver. The firm should be a part of the strategic decision taken by the parent company, and commitments should be based on long-term returns that benefit the business as a whole rather than just saving on short-term costs. Too often, IT executives get dollar signs in their eyes when they first hear about cheap programmer offshore. They jump in at the lowest cost possible and then are not satisfied with the results. Their conclusion? Offshore outsourcing of software development does not work. However, let us step back a moment and think about the overall goal. It should be to create great software, not hire the cheapest programmers on the planet. You need to consider the actual cost of hiring programmers. Outsourcing should give you predictable software development process, requirements, gathering and software design, architecture and technology recommendations, project management, testing and quality assurance, flexible ramp-up and ramp.
Contracts and contract management. According to our textbook, a contract is an agreement between two or more parties which is intended to be enforceable by law. When purchasing our software, we will enter into a contract with the company providing the software. In the simplest of terms, the contract outlines what product and services the company will provide, for what period of time, and the cost to our organization. There are two types of contracts: bilateral contracts and unilateral contracts. Bilateral contracts have promises made by each party entering into the contract. These are the most common type of contract and the type we would enter into when purchasing the software. Unilateral contracts are much less common and provide for one party making a promise to do something while the other party proceeds as they choose. Binding contracts must have the following in order to be legally binding: agreement, consideration, intention to create legal relations, contractual capacity, and correct form. Agreement is an offer that has been accepted unconditionally, meaning all terms and conditions are agreed upon by both parties. Consideration is the price for the goods and services outlined in the contract. Intention to create legal relations is the clear and concise verbiage that shows both parties intend for the contract to be legally binding. Contractual capacity is the ability of each party to enter into the contract. For example, they are of appropriate age and mental capacity. Lastly, we have correct form, which means all terms and conditions in the contract are agreed upon. Once contracts are signed and legal, we must monitor and manage them, which means we need to ensure both parties are doing what they said they would in the terms of the contract. This is contract management. The supplier is supplying their goods and services, and the client is making payment for those goods and services. In order to successfully manage the contract, we need to create ways to monitor and measure performance.
Performance measurement. Performance measurement is important as it tracks the success of the product or service you have contracted. While in the past financial performance has been the method of tracking success, it has become only one part of the tracking process. Companies now track things like product quality, one-time delivery, and customer satisfaction to balance the measurement system and gain a more realistic picture of performance as it relates to the company's mission and vision. In order to successfully measure performance, you have to define business objectives as they relate to the product or service contracted. Once that is done, you must develop performance measurements that relate and then track these measurements. Measurement can be financial, operational, tactical, or strategic, as well as customer focused. These measurements, when reported correctly, will aid in successfully managing the new product or service that has been contracted.
Risk management. Risk management software often link closely with compliance management software. It is designed to lower the overall risk and security implications that enterprises face. Definition of risk. A risk is a potential problem. It might happen and it might not. Conceptual definition of risk. Risks concern future happenings. Risk involves change in mind, opinion, actions, places. Risk involves choice and uncertainty that choice entails. Characteristics of risk. Uncertainty. The risk may or may not happen. That is, there are not 100% risks. Those instead are called constraints. Loss. The risk becomes a reality and unwanted consequences or losses occur. Risk categorization. Project risks. They threaten the project plan. If they become real, the project schedule will slip and the cost will increase. Technical risks. They threaten the quality and timeliness of the software to be produced. If they become real, implementation may become difficult or impossible. Business risks. They threaten the viability of the software to be built. If they become real, they jeopardize the project or the product. Market risk. Building an excellent product or system that no one really wants. Strategic risk. Building a product that no longer fits into the overall business strategy for any company. Sales risk. Building the product that the sales force doesn't understand how to sell. Management risk. Losing the support of senior management due to a change in focus or a change in people. Budget risks. Losing budgetary or personnel commitment. Known risks. The risks that can be uncovered after careful evaluation of the project plan, the business and technical environment in which the project is being developed, and other reliable information sources. Predictable risks. The risks that are extrapolated from the past project experience. Unpredictable risks. The risks that can end and do occur, but are extremely difficult to identify in advance. Reactive versus proactive risk strategies. Reactive risk strategy. The majority of software teams and managers rely on this approach. Nothing is done about risk until something goes wrong. The team files into action in an attempt to correct the problem rapidly. Crisis management is the choice of management techniques. Proactive risk strategies. Identify, analyze, impact, rank, develop risks. Primary objective is to avoid risks and to have contingency plan in place to handle unavoidable risks in a controlled and effective manner.
Steps for risk management. Identify the risk. Project manager and his or her team should uncover, recognize, and describe risks that might affect the project or its outcomes. There are a number of techniques that can be used to find project risks. Analyze the risk. Once risks are identified, PM determines the likelihood and consequences of each risk. PM should develop an understanding of the nature of the risk and its potential to affect project goals and objectives. Evaluate or rank the risk. PM should evaluate or rank the risk by determining the risk magnitude, which is the combination of likelihood and consequence. PM should make decisions about whether the risk is acceptable or whether it is serious enough to warrant treatment. Treat the risk. PM should assess the highest rank risks and set out a plan to treat or modify these risks to achieve acceptable risk levels and consider the following. How can he or she minimize the probability of the negative risks as well as enhancing the opportunities? How can they create risk mitigation strategies, preventative plans, and contingency plans? How can they add the risk treatment measures for the highest ranking or most serious risks to the project? Monitor and review the risk. PM should monitor the project risk, track and review all risks. Known and predictable risk categories: product size, business impact, customer characteristics, process definition, development environment, technology to be built, staff size and experience. Risk components and drivers. Identifying the risk drivers will affect the following risk components: performance risk, cost risk, support risk, schedule risk. Assessing risk impact. 3 factors affect the consequences that are likely if a risk does occur. Nature, problem if the risk occur. Scope, a combination between the severity of the risk, how much was affected overall. Timing. This consider when and for how long the impact will be felt. Principles of risk management. Maintaining a global perspective, take a forward-looking view, encourage open communication, integrate risk management, emphasize the continuous process of risk management, develop a shared product vision, encourage teamwork when managing risk.
Rachel Duzek,
Peter Chege,
And Ruth Dillon.